I'm Sammy Marco, welcome to Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and in a few minutes we're going to take bus 15 north all the way to Harrisburg. The trip is more than an hour long. The Gettysburg Historic National Battlefield is behind me, where Lincoln gave his famous 77 years ago speech and legally freed the slaves that were... I'm going to have to add some extra because I don't remember my history. Alright, so after a cursory look, it looks like Lincoln did not free the slaves at Gettysburg, but in the Emancipation Proclamation, which makes more sense. The Emancipation Proclamation was less than a year before his famous Gettysburg Address, which he gave on November 19th, 1863, after the deadliest battle of the U.S. Civil War that took place in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. Gettysburg, a town of 7,500, is one of the most walkable for its size. I walked from the southern end of the town to the transit center just north of the center circle in about 20 minutes flat. I passed many small businesses and boutique stores as I made my way north. The streets were pretty quiet, other than the sounds of cars and trucks. As I made my way past the middle school, lots of kids entered the sidewalks, as it was dismissal time. It's cool to see that some kids still have the opportunity to walk to and from school. Also, school buses are really loud, or at least the ones used in this town. Alright, so behind me is the Gettysburg Transit Center, so that's just where all the buses originate. That's where the bus that will take me to Harrisburg also originates. The service provider that provides transit service to York, Pennsylvania, Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and Harrisburg, Pennsylvania is called Rapid Transit. And it is a play on words of the term rapid transit, which is basically any transit that goes fast and doesn't get stuck in traffic. So think a metro, a subway, or like a BRT type system. Alright, so this is the inside of the Gettysburg Transit Center. It's really nice. There's free public restrooms. There's also rider information and stuff, so this is really nice. It looks like it was probably built in the last 10-ish years. They also have water fountains. If you call them a bubbler, you're just wrong. My bus showed up right on time. Our faithful steed was built by Gilling and only had one door, as it is the commuter model, not made for tons of people getting on and off at the same time. Alright, I am now on the bus. It was interesting, the bus driver showed me my ticket because it didn't have like a QR code or anything, and she asked where I was going, so I let her know. She said, oh, I know where that is. That's the first time a bus driver's ever asked where you're going, so I guess it doesn't get a ton of ridership, at least this afternoon one, so they just make sure they stop where you're going. They do have the little thing though, so. Also, Gilling bar, of course. The bus left on time. We served a community college and a park and ride, but got no new passengers. Then we made our way onto Highway 15, north to Dillsburg, where we made our one intermediate stop. After a quick deviation into the town, we continued on to Harrisburg, the capital of Pennsylvania. Here's a screenshot of the decibel meter while riding on the bus at full speed. It is a bit loud, but keep in mind I was in the back closest to the engine. After Dillsburg, we continued our trip along Rural State Highway 15, which felt more like an interstate as we went over 70 miles an hour. For me, it was a new experience riding transit through a rural area, quite different from the urban environment in and around DC where I'm used to using transit. Also, with only one other passenger on board, it felt more like a private ride than public transit. As the highway turned into an arterial street, I knew we were close to Harrisburg. Just a little bit of a traffic holdup and Philip DeFranco on the phone later, and the next thing I knew, we were going over the Harvey Taylor Memorial Bridge, named after a state legislator from Harrisburg who held public office almost continuously from 1907 to 1964. Goodness, that's a long time. And who was instrumental in getting the bridge built. The first glimpse I got of the city were the tall buildings from across the bridge, and then the Greenbelt Trail that runs in a loop along the waterfront and in the city for 20 miles. I was a bit apprehensive to be entering a city I had never been to before, but I was still curious to see what a smaller state capital was going to be like. Now I think I know why the bus driver asked me where I was going. She actually stopped the bus right perpendicular to the transit center in downtown Harrisburg. I was not expecting her to stop here, so she stopped and I looked at her in the rearview mirror, and I had to gather my stuff and run out real quick. But it's nice of them to stop the bus there because I would have been on the bus for another 30 minutes if it ran its standard schedule. All right, so I have made it to the city. The river is actually just right back there, and I need to use the restroom, so I'm trying to look for one of those. There's a little island over there that's like a little park, so maybe they have something.